Although most players know the general concept of every weapon throughout the game, there are still some weapons that are generally utilized in an inefficient manner. Because of this, we've decided to create a list with the weapons that we believe most of you may be utilizing under their maximum potential. Hello, my name is Renox, and today I'll be your guide walking you through the 7 most commonly misused weapons throughout the game. Before starting, however, understand that the term misused doesn't necessarily mean something in a manner that a weapon is completely useless. Instead, we believe that there may be a better way to play with the weapon, giving you a significant advantage over your enemies throughout your games. Right before starting, however, let's go over our customary question of the day. Today's question is surely an interesting one. Would you like to see more weapon classes added into the game? For instance, an auto sniper class or maybe a minigun type of weapon. Personally, I think that this might bring more diversity to the game. If not anything else, it would make the game a lot more fun. What do you guys think though? Do you agree with my perspective, or do you think that it may just ruin the competitive integrity of the game? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll make sure to read as many as we can. With that being said, let's get right into our first commonly misused weapon throughout the game.
Alright, starting out with the pistol class, we would first like to focus on the Shorty. Although we all know that the Shorty is a crucial weapon for eco rounds in an attempt to get those sneaky 1 or 2 kills at the enemy's turn of the corner, there is a simple method that will allow you to increase your effectiveness significantly. While many players choose to play alone, hiding behind a corner or a tight angle, by playing in a crossfire, your teammate may be able to take enough attention off of you in order for you to be much more likely to get that kill. Let's go over an example in order to make this more easy to understand. Let's say you're playing Bind and you're holding Hookah on defense. Playing with a Shorty, you may find yourself in the back of Hookah in an attempt to get a kill while the enemies are pushing in. As we know, however, this is a very common place to check as an attacker. If a teammate with a classic or a ghost is holding the slightly wider angle on the box, however, the enemy will more than likely come out looking at that teammate simply because they will see them first. This will allow your teammate to back up onto sight, knowing that if the enemy pushes, you will still be there to get a free kill. Simple plays like these will make you much more effective, only because you're playing alongside a teammate. Another way that players often don't get the most out of the Shorty is by holding inside of corners. Although holding around walls is good, you should never really go much past the entryway. Keeping the Hookah example, you shouldn't hold in the corner while playing with the Shorty simply because it's too far for the Shorty to actually be effective. Instead, you should hold closer to the choke so that when the enemies enter, you can guarantee a one-shot kill. For the second pistol of this video, let's go over the classic. Many players utilize this weapon without truly analyzing the game, playing the same way every single round. Instead, you should be focusing on its individual strengths depending on the type of round that you're going into. This is fairly complicated, so if you're a classic player, which many of you are, get ready. On the first round, also known as pistol round, you should focus on trying to use the range that the classic provides. Take longer fights and try your best to hit headshots. This isn't very complicated, so we won't spend too much time talking about it. On eco rounds, however, playing with the classic gets a little bit more complicated. If you're initiating a crossfire, as we discussed in the Shorty section, you should still be focusing on initiating duels at a range where utilizing your left click is ideal. This is because it will allow you to lure your enemies in enough for your teammates to get a kill while still giving you enough distance from the enemy to where you can back up in time before dying. On the contrary, however, if you're trying to get kills alone, due to the low damage of the classic compared to rifles and SMGs, you will probably have to utilize the right click, also known as the alternate fire. You will have a much higher chance of winning those close range fights. Because of this, you should hold corners in a similar way to the Shorty and hope that you can get 1 or 2 solid alternate fire shots when trying to get a kill. Understanding when to use each of the fire types is crucial to using the classic effectively. The third and final pistol that we will be discussing in the video today is the Frenzy. This pistol, not being anywhere near as common as the classic or even the Shorty, is one of the many pistols that people just don't have enough experience with to use well. Although the Frenzy's most notable feature is the fact that it's the only automatic pistol in the game, what many people forget is that by tapping the weapon, you can actually gain much more range than many expect. For instance, having a Frenzy alongside something like an Operator may force you to utilize your secondary when pushing in. Because of this, you may find that you're forced to utilize the pistol at longer ranges. This would ultimately cause many players to miss shots simply because they're choosing to spray their Frenzies. Instead, if you choose to tap or burst instead of spray, you will have much more success. This is because, unlike any of the rifles or SMGs, the Frenzy's recoil is very random. This makes it nearly impossible to hit shots consistently over longer ranges, hence why many people choose to purchase something like a Ghost for only 100 more credits. Moving on from the pistol class to our only SMG, let's go over the Stinger. Most people either love or hate the Stinger due to its very niche place throughout the game. For those of you who shy away from the Stinger, we encourage you to use it more due to its significant ability to get several kills for a cheap price. If nothing else, at least try it out after hearing the common mistake that may be holding you back from gaining as much as you possibly can with the Stinger. What many players do is play the Stinger in the way that they would any other weapon, like a Spectre or a rifle. Due to its high fire rate, however, this will cause you to not be very effective with it. What you should do instead is play it more like you would a shotgun. Close range fights with a Stinger, especially on defense, may even give you an advantage over some rifles. Furthermore, unlike shotguns, you will be able to get chain kills if enemies push in fast. This is because you'll find yourself only having to reload after about 2 kills or so, often allowing you to have a decent chance at winning the second duel even after you won your first. Another part of the Stinger that is often overlooked is the burst that occurs when shooting while scoped in. This gives you a much higher range than you might expect. For instance, if you are trying to retake sight on A site bind, although you shouldn't hold here initially, you may be able to find yourself getting a kill by sneaking your way into heaven. With only 2 or 3 bursts, you could be able to get a fairly easy kill when fighting even longer range rifles if you catch them off guard. With that being said, don't set up for long range duels all of the time. More often than not, you'll find that the Stinger is much more effective at close range, likely meaning that you should hold close nearly every round with a Stinger in hand. Because this is such a complicated weapon to use, we recommend that you visit ProGuides.com for maximum benefit. There, our pros can directly help you with any of your personal needs regarding weapon or gameplay in general. If you would like the most seamless experience, you should also check out our VOD review system, where after only 24 hours after submitting your video, you will receive a full analysis of your gameplay, allowing for a fast, easy, and effective method of improvement. Moving on to rifles, let's go straight on over to the Bulldog. From what we have seen, like the Stinger, many players in lower ranks often shy away from this weapon. This, however, is definitely a mistake. Rather than a weapon utilization tip like all the others highlighted in this video, the Bulldog provides economic advantages that many players seem to not take into consideration. For instance, many players unable to purchase a Phantom or Vandal due to economic constraints often find themselves going towards SMGs with heavy armor as a second option. Instead, as an often more beneficial alternative, going for light armor and a Bulldog is key. This choice will allow you to play at much longer ranges when compared to SMGs. Talking about long-range duels, like the Stinger, using the burst is also key. More often than not, it is best to play with the Bulldog in ways that you would play with the Sniper, like an Operator. This is because the burst is so much better than the full auto at taking long-range duels. Making this benefit even more deadly is the combination of it and the Stim Beacon. If you find that a Brimstone is playing alongside of you, it may be worth to ask for a Stim Beacon throughout the round, simply in order to make sure that your burst is much stronger for when the enemies push forward and attempt to initiate a push. Having discussed pistols, SMGs, and rifles, we feel like the Operator, a sniper, is the next weapon that we should discuss. Although many players know that it's best to hold long angles on defense while playing with the Operator, what they often do wrong is play far too passively. For example, when playing A on Ascent, players often stick with playing on site or under heaven. Although these are both great positions to be in, they make your play very predictable to the enemy. This will allow them to nullify you by using smokes before they even push in, forcing you to give sight away without ever having an attempt to get a kill. If you switch it up, however, you may choose to push into the choke and get a quick kill as the enemies peek from the initial angle from spawn. This will not only give you the man advantage into the round if you successfully get the pick, but it will also make sure that the enemies can't expect your play throughout the game, giving you a mental advantage if nothing else. Another mistake that many players make with the Operator is playing angles that are much too wide. By doing this, if they miss their first shot, they won't be able to run away or find cover if the enemies continue to push in. Instead, hold very tight angles or corners that you can easily hide behind. The Operator is a very all-in type of weapon. You either hit your shot or you don't. Because of this, you will need a solid escape route in case your reaction time isn't as keen as you may have hoped. The final weapon that we'll be going over today is the Odin. Being a very standard type of weapon, many players play with it fairly well. There is one thing that we would like to point out, however. If you have an agent like Sova or Cypher on your team, you might want to ask them to use their recon arrow or their camera respectively in order to gain knowledge of the enemy's location before they push in. The reason this is much more crucial when wielding the Odin compared to any other weapon is simply due to its high wall penetration. If any of your teammates or if you are playing the right agent, you are able to reveal the enemy's location, and you'll have a much higher chance at killing or significantly hurting the enemies through a wall while the enemy is practically defenseless.
We hope that the information provided throughout this video has helped you realize some of the mistakes that you're making when using certain weapons. By understanding what you're doing wrong and by fixing it, you will consistently win more duels, allowing you to improve significantly as an individual. If you find that you avoid some of the weapons that we discussed in this video, I recommend that you take a look at them with a fresh set of eyes after the information you were just provided with. Avoid the common mistakes and make the best of your weapon choice. Having a varied arsenal will allow you to become much more unpredictable throughout the game, allowing you to gain a further advantage over the enemy. With that being said, we wish you all the best of luck, great games, and we'll see you all in the next one.